So, Samuel, can you think of a specific money mistake or regrets that you made growing up? And yeah, what have you learned from it?
In the past, like I was gambling and it was really bad.
Wow.
The way that I got into that was through some side hustles that didn't involve gambling, but were a gateway into gambling. And then I was fully
Oh,
gambling and it was
okay.
really bad. Yep,
What's that side hustle? I'm just curious, actually.
it's match betting.
Match
Ah,
betting.
Yes, which
interesting.
Oh.
I initially had I was earning good money,
Yeah.
but I I very quickly had to accept I have a very addictive personality, and it
Mm,
Yeah.
wasn't good for me. My
okay.
partner at the time, her father was into cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
and a lot of people and he made great money out of that. But
Hmm.
for me, it wasn't good. It really affected my relationship because it was the first thing I was looking at when I was waking up in the morning. It was the last thing I was looking at before I went to bed. It was very addictive, and I lost loads of money
Oh my gosh.
through different side hustles that
Mm,
just weren't good for me, that were
Wow.
losing me money rather than being. So I was the side hustle for them
Wow.
rather than the other
gosh.
way around.
That's so interesting to hear that from you
Honestly.
because
Whew.
we get our audience do ask us a lot about what our views are on match
On
betting,
match
and we
betting.
always say like we don't recommend it to anybody,
Yeah,
and
we're zero interest.
zero interest. Yeah, so
Hmm.
Zero
it's just
Hmm.
interest.
interesting
For
to
this
hear
reason.
from you,
Yeah.
your actual experience with it.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
it's just so good to hear that, And we've even been approached by companies that,
to
want
do
to partner with
sponsorship.
us and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
We're like, nah, we're not interested. Because like we care a lot about the eventuality, the outcome for the people who listen to what we teach on our channel.
Hmm.
It's not,
Hmm.
we have to be very, very careful, like what we, how we promote, what we promote and how we promote it. And, because for some people it could lead to this outcome,
Yeah.
which I know that that's not the case for everybody, obviously, but I'm just saying that there is a likelihood, and you're a good example of that. You've really made it clear to us today that, this can actually happen.
I remember one of the sort of spirals that I went down was losing money and then trying to bet more to gain that money back.
Oh,
Yes, I was a culprit. I remember,
oh,
so
wow.
for any Liverpool fans out there, I'm gonna remind you guys of a bad memory of when they lost to Aston Villa. I think it was a couple of years ago. So essentially, I put money on Liverpool to win against Aston Villa, and I can't remember what the score was, but anyway, Liverpool were losing,
Mm.
and it wasn't by very many goals. And I thought, oh, of course they're going to win. It's Liverpool. They lost 7-2
Oh.
that match, and I lost £700
Oh.
Wow.
like that.
Damn.
And
Wow.
I was so I froze. I freaked out and I froze, and I couldn't tell my partner at the time. Eventually, I told her, but I
Wow.
couldn't sleep that night. I was sweating. I was
Mm.
shaking. I
Mm,
couldn't believe what I'd done. And the hardest thing I think about that time was that was when I started gambling.
Mm.
I promised myself I would never gamble any more than that in terms of amount, but
Mm.
over time, easily, I'd given more and more and more to the
Mm.
point where I was like betting £100 per game and losing it in a couple of minutes. And
Wow.
yeah,
Whew.
it was crazy. One week, I remember I won 2 grand and I lost it all that same week through gambling.
Wow.
It would have been better for me to have not got that money
yeah.
than
Mm.
to have won it and lost it. So
Mm.
yeah, those are the two for me.
So can I just I want to ask you a bit more about
Okay.
match betting actually. So for the people who are watching who have zero idea what match betting is and how it works, can you explain? Yeah?
Okay.
And then in that explanation, can you also explain how people can lose money
Right. Okay.
versus make money, that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So the way that I got into it was simply through Googling side hustles.
Right.
Mm,
And typically, match betting is one of the first things that pops up
Yeah.
because it's the
okay.
one that can earn you potentially the most amount of money, potentially through a side hustle.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into it. The way the process works is you go on these betting websites and they will have certain special offers. For example, if you put on X amount of money, we will give you a money equivalent on top. So let's say I put money on £20 on Manchester United to beat Chelsea in the next game. I would place that bet, and then I would use a different website, typically called a betting exchange website, where they will give me money for that result to not happen. So one website, I want Manchester United to win, and the other website, I want Manchester United to not win. Now, I'm saying not win because I'm also bearing in mind the draw. So in either circumstance, I'm not losing any money, quote unquote. It's either a marginal or I'm not losing any, maybe like a £1 or two.
Yeah.
What that does is it then unlocks a voucher or a certain amount of money into my account from the betting website. So then that website will say, okay, we're going to give you, now that you've done that bet, now you've done your first bet, we're going to give you £50 to then use on your next bet. And what I would do is I would look at, there's different sort of match betting websites, which shows you the best matches to make using those free vouchers. I will then go back on that betting website. I will take that £50. I would put it on another game, and I'll do the exact same process with my betting exchange website. Now, that money which the betting website has given me, it's not free money, but it's not my money.
Yeah.
So if that wins, and the betting exchange website also wins, I will earn money from the betting exchange website and earn money from the betting website.
Yeah.
Or if I lose, then I still get my money from the betting exchange website, but I've not gained any money, or maybe I've not gained any money from the betting website. Either way, long story short, it's meant to be a win-win process.
Right.
So it can be a very slippery slope because of things called no-lays. No-lay is when you say, okay, I'm going to put up this amount of money, and I'm not going to do anything with the betting exchange website. So if I lose, I don't lose anything, but if I win a lot of money.
Right.
That can very easily slip into, oh, well, let me just use a bit of my own money to maximize my profits. Let me bet on horses. Let me bet on international football. Let me bet on hockey or cricket or golf or whatever. And that very easily is how I got into match betting and into gambling. And that's how I lost all my money.
Do you think you know how much you've lost overall in all these activities?
Rough estimate, I would say over the past 2 years, I've easily lost $3.5 grand.
Right. Okay. And how much do you think you've made? Is that a net? Is that after taking into account how much you've made?
No, I would say it's a if I count what I've earned and what I've lost, I would say it was a loss of 1.5. Yeah, 1.5K.
Right. And what do you think are the dangers of like betting? Because I think this is such an important topic. Because the reason is right. I'll tell you. Like, so when I turn the TV on, I think a bit like that, betting is becoming normalized.
Right.
It's a bit like debt. So like, debt is in our society, I feel like everywhere I look, people say in different ways, whether directly or indirectly, it's okay to have debt. Right? And the big companies are pretending that they are innovating by giving us different forms of debt. Like I'm making it easier for you to purchase, blah, blah, blah. And they tell us in all this language. The reality is that it's debt. In the same way, I feel that betting is becoming normalized. I see celebrities, I see like all kinds of people who I might not even expect promoting betting now. I'm not judging anyone for betting, but I'm just saying I believe it's being normalized in our society, and I just feel, I'd love to know in your own words, like what you think, like what do you think the dangers are of someone getting into betting? Like what could it lead to down the line? Could it ruin relationships? Like I don't know, like just
Yeah.
Based on your
Yeah,
experience, what do you think?
yeah. The it's literally just as you said. The biggest thing that affected me with my betting was it affected my marriage at the time. It was one of the factors that led to my marriage ending
Wow.
because
Wow.
it was something that I know for people that are married, one of the biggest things is trust,
Yeah.
and it's very difficult if one person is doing something like match betting and the
Mm.
other person doesn't understand the process. It's
Mm,
very easy for person A to be like, oh, it's just another side hustle. Oh,
mm,
it's just another form of income. And person B doesn't get it. And then when that person gets into betting, they won't tell person B. They'll just tell person A, oh, it's part of the side hustle. And
yeah.
then things start coming out like, oh, well, yeah, we're going to plan this holiday. And then last minute, oh, yeah, we can't do it no more. Mood
Right.
swings.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going somewhere with, your significant other or whatever, or you're with some friends, and all of a sudden that person's mood switches.
Right.
And you're like, why is that? Why have they switched all of a sudden? It's
Mm,
because they've just lost hundreds of pounds through a match that they've just lost. So
mm,
those things, and the one thing that I think affected me with the most
mm,
was it affected my relationship with my mother because it got to a point where I knew it was it was without a doubt it was an addiction, and I knew, and I was like, the only person I can turn to right now with my mum and tell her, Mum, I'm so sorry. I've spent this money. I can't tell my partner, or I don't have the guts to tell my partner.
mm,
Can you help me?
mm,
And I'm very lucky to have the mum that I have that she helped me through that process. But she was only able to help me because she had been through similar situations in her life where she had had people around her
mhm,
that
Mm.
had been affected by gambling. And
mm,
so it can very easily be something that can affect people's relationships around you in ways that you would never think of.
mm.
Yeah.
If you met someone today who said, "I want to go into match betting as a side hustle," what would you say to them?
I would just say that no matter how much research you do, you are never going to know the full picture of the goods and the bads. And the bads outweigh the goods. The
Mm,
bads outweigh the goods. You're not told up front about how it's going to affect the people around you. Why would they tell you?
mhm,
Yeah.
Why would they? I would tell them, don't bother. Don't bother. There's other side hustles out there.
mm,
There's you don't. I would ask that person, would you want if you want to like the people that are around you that you care about,
mm,
would you want them to get into match betting, knowing that they could very easily get into gambling?
mm,
And would you be happy with seeing the consequences? Because I personally would love to know the figure of the amount of people that have gone into match betting that have eventually gone into gambling. Because
Mm.
I know I'm not alone.
yes.
Fine. Yeah.
And that figure, I don't think it's out there yet.
Do
But
you
I
know
think
other
that's
people who do you know other people who that's happened to, i.e.,
that,
who've gone into match betting and
yeah,
have now gone
yeah,
into gambling?
totally. Totally. Yeah. I know people that have gone into match betting, that have gone into gambling, that have then gone back into match betting and still do it to this day because they're still trying to convince themselves, oh no, it's fine. It's like that niggling feeling of, oh, it's gonna be fine. I can no, it's
Mm,
so now that so when I say that they go back to it, is and they do both.
Right.
right.
And then it's just becomes it's no longer a side hustle. It's gone from a side hustle to an
Mm.
addiction.
Yeah.
Which means, in addition to it, because we haven't even talked about it, is that you're actually not building any wealth,
Mhm.
isn't it?
At
Mhm.
all.
Because the impression people give you of match betting is that it's a way to make money.
Mm.
That's the impression you get, is that, oh, and, I just think this is such a fascinating topic to talk about. Thank you for sharing so much about it. It's
Yeah.
really,
Thank you for
really
being so
massively,
honest.
massively enlightening. And
Yeah.
would love to hear from people actually in the comments. What are your personal experiences with match betting? Like, how have you had successes? Have you had similar stories to Sam? Like, tell us, like, actually be open and tell us, like, what you have experienced with match betting. And, I would be more than happy to kind of jump in the comments and chat about that.
Thank you so much for your honesty, transparency. It's been such a great discussion, like Ken said. And guys, thank you for watching. If you love this, make sure you hit the like button.
Yeah.
Share this video also with somebody who you think will find it valuable.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Subscribe
We want you
if
to
you haven't
subscribe.
already,
Show
yes.
us the love.
That's right.
Show us the love. Give us a signal that you love what we're putting out.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. And as always,
in all things, be thankful and seek joy.
Take care.
Take care, people. Thank you, Sam. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Take care.